Ladies, gentlemen, and exiles of all ages, while playing through Path of Exile 2, there will come a point in pretty much every player's journey where they decide that they want to reshuffle some parts of their build. Maybe this involves doing some passive tree refunding so you can make new choices. Maybe it involves changing up some of your gear, your equipment, visiting vendors on their resets, using the gambling vendor to see what he might give you, but all these things require one resource en masse, and that's gold. Gold drops in increasing quantities every level that you go up, but that doesn't really make anything much easier in itself because both vendor prices and skill tree refunding also goes up in price every single level you get. So maybe you just want to make slight changes, or maybe you're worried that in the wee hours of the night the developers will release a new patch that absolutely nukes your current build and you'll have to do like an emergency reshuffling, spending lots and lots of stuff, because once you've reached endgame, doing a large number of skill point refunds can easily run you over 100,000 gold in a single go. So let's talk about the best, most efficient ways of getting gold within Path of Exile 2 at this moment. First and foremost, it's pretty much entirely based around selling equipment that you find. Monsters have gold in their drop pool, which is helpful. You'll get this sort of automatically as you move your way through levels of various kinds, killing everything around, but the hidden jackpots are the items that they actually drop. The gold selling value of an item depends on a few factors: item level, item rarity, number of modifiers on the item slot that the item is for, and whether it is identified or not. Always identify items before selling them to increases the value, things like that, but items sell for gold at a relatively high rate, and this is to create a bit of competition within the system, because if they didn't sell for good amounts of gold, you would otherwise just disenchant or salvage literally everything you can. That said, my general practice in this scenario still is to do salvage with anything that has quality percentage or sockets on it, because those are just very valuable to be able to add on to your own active use equipment, which you can do when you actually salvage the equipment and get the orbs as such. And then for the rest of the gear, basically, if I have no plans to ever use it, I just sell it to the vendors. I have more than enough orbs of transmutation at the moment, so blues are just straight gold exchange for me. But then rares are where there is a little bit of debate, at least. If you have an active use or need for regal orbs, disenchant these items at a vendor for regal shards. However, 9 times out of 10, I'll just sell them for the gold. Regal orbs are useful, but in a world where exalted orbs are relatively infrequent drops and are also used as the main trading currency between players, regal orbs are hard to use quite as liberally, and so there just isn't really much need for a massive stack of them, at least until you start wanting to use them in endgame a bit more. But even then, you don't need a crazy supply, really. There is a choice to be made here. Regal shards and regal orbs are a thing that matters, but you have to choose whether you care more about gold or regal orbs, and if the answer is gold, sell them yellow items. Past that, there is one thing that I'd like to address here too, which is that technically if you are at a very specific point in the campaign progress, there are a couple of different stops you can make to farm for gold, and then also items which you can turn into more gold. These are only really worth doing to begin with if you are a matched progression state with where they are in the campaign, as the moment that you out-level these areas, you'll just be getting better rewards from fighting enemies your own level and getting their drops on different levels in general. As well, the way that the game works, the further in you get, the higher level you and your enemies are, the more gold, the more equipment, and the higher quality of equipment as well you will find, which essentially means that you stand to make more gold relative to expenses the higher your level gets. And so stopping to farm one of these stagnant gold farm areas like this in the middle of the story, if you're way ahead of it, is basically just a trap more than anything, as it slows down your progress towards endgame, which means long term you are making less gold. All that said, the 2 gold farming zones are the Praetor's Mausoleum in Act 1 within the graveyard area, as well as the Venom Crypts within Act 3. Both of these, of course, apply to cruel difficulty also if you hit those points, and the reason that they have this reputation is just a relatively high enemy density and a far higher than average number of chests within those zones. High number of chests means higher chance at increased rarity chests, which means higher chance at increased rarity loot inside of them. This then sells for even more gold, but again, if you are mismatching the level for these, you are likely to just earn more gold by progressing whatever level or map matches your current level anyways, and then just killing things for a bit. Past this, there is a few ways to expand on this too, especially through gear. One of the modifiers that can roll on a large number of different item slots is increased rarity of items found. This will quite literally just increase your drop rates of higher rarity gear, which means higher chances of big bundles of gold dropping on the ground, because those rares are worth more than magic items or commons. I wouldn't necessarily recommend going out of your way to get increased rarity of items as a modifier at the expense of something properly player power increasing, but chances are pretty reasonable that you can get an item that is sort of the best of both worlds, providing a ton of stats and then also just happening to have the item rarity increase stat. That said, one place worth considering losing a bit of power for this is a charm slot. In the game, one of the sort of archetypes of charm that you can find is a golden charm. This will give you increased rarity of items found when activated, and it activates after you kill a rare or unique enemy, which are the named proper bosses. This gives you a shortcut to increase item rarity in the specific moments that you would explicitly want more item rarity, when you kill the things that already drop good things. And it does so in a charm slot too, which is not only a negligible power drop in most cases to replace something with, compared to using a different charm, but also a charm is something that you can swap in and out very freely without much thought. So you can either have a backup charm just in your inventory to swap it out when you want to, or use it the opposite way and only put on the golden charm if you know you are about to fight rare enemies or a boss. But either way, it is a good way to essentially just manufacture your own luck with items once you find one of these. Finally then, we have endgame adjustments to this concept, and it's basically just in how you use the map system and the waystones that you actually choose to use. Waystones let you access maps within Path of Exile 2, and they can roll with modifiers of their own on them, and you can even craft onto waystones to add modifiers too. Some of the modifiers that these can have are quite clearly result in more gold gain, like literal increased gold drop rate as one of them, but then there are things like increased item rarity from waystones, which then results in more valuable gear to sell, as we talked about before with that just as an item modifier. There are things like increased chest spawns or increased chance of higher rarity chest spawning, both resulting in more gold or higher value items to sell for gold. And then even things that you may not think about, like increased number of rare monsters or increased pack density of magic monsters, stuff like that, those things create more instances of higher quality loot for less time spent. And so while it doesn't match the typical concept of what a gold farm would be in a different ARPG, this is the way to farm gold within this game, within Path of Exile 2, and you can work together all of these things that we've talked about here to make it relatively effective too. You want gold charms, you want item rarity modifiers on your gear where it's possible without lowering your power, and then to just take this into the map system in endgame, aiming for modifiers that affect gold, chests, item rarity, or quantity or density of monsters. Then when you get out, you want to sell the majority of the items, with the rare exception that you either salvage or keep because you may actually want to use it in the future. And that's honestly the gist of it, really. That's pretty much it for today then, everyone. Just a guide to how to gain gold within Path of Exile 2 through the campaign and into the early endgame specifically. But with gold costs being relatively constricting when it comes to messing around and experimenting with skill points, and then also being an extremely important resource for gear upgrading, I just thought it would be a nice idea to just sort of have a chat about this from everything that I know so far. I hope you've enjoyed this and hopefully it helps you make a larger pile of gold in a smaller amount of time than you've been achieving before watching. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.